Hey, welcome into episode 5, week 5, All the Tea podcast here at the Tea Storm Chasers studios in Tea, South Dakota. Tonight we are joined by Tea Boys basketball head coach Drew Weber, now in his, is it 7 seasons?
7 seasons.
7 seasons after taking over for longtime head coach Chris Fechner. Weber, Flanders, South Dakota native, he made his way to Tea after 6, did I get that right, outstanding seasons at Cologne?
Five in Cologne, 1 in Winter.
I always forget about Winter.
Yeah. And the Cologne years went a lot better than the Winter year. That was my first one.
And I would say for the 25-26 season that is shortly upon us, or that we're upon us now, maybe the best team you've ever had. Would you say that could be the case possibly this year?
We got a long way to go. I think our ceiling's as high as any. You know,
that's probably a better way to put it.
The 2022 season, I think, with Cale Lundeen and Jeff Worth, that group. My third year in here, that was a really good team, a tremendous team. We had, I think we're third or fourth in power points. You know, we're playing all those double A's and to get to there. That was a really good team, and we ended up losing to Sioux Falls Christian in the SODAC 16.
Yeah.
You know, a couple different breaks go your way throughout the year. We're likely to be a top 4 team for sure.
Yeah.
I thought that year. Blake Thompson injury.
Injury was huge.
I'd say that was probably our best performance of a season there, and our ceiling was awfully high. We were a top 3 or 4 team. We ran into another top 3 or 4 team in the SODAC 16. But this group here, I think, has a very high ceiling for sure, and I think we're going to be awfully competitive.
The year you were talking about, I think we were going to play a team we'd already beat by 30 points or something like that.
Yeah, there was
the season, some postponements and everything through.
There was some thing, and just some the way that the PowerPoint system is, you got to catch some breaks here and there, and that year about everything went the way we wanted it to for a long, long time, and then we had just one upset in the postseason, and we're playing Sioux Falls Christian. And I had already beaten that Sioux Falls Christian team by 15, 18 points at home that year, and it was just one of those nights out at the Pentagon. It's always been kind of a tough place for us to play, and man, that was one that was. You don't forget, and not in a good way. But that was a really good team, and Cale was a 3-time All-Stater. Jeff was an All-Stater his senior year. We had a lot of guys. Jonah Kocher was in the starting lineup. Alex Pies, Reese Kirshenman, who he was our brawn in the middle. Sam Almas came off the bench. Clayton Sattler went out that year.
Yeah, had a
really
great
good
year.
Season, hadn't played, and he was a vital part of that. And I always contest that Blake Thompson injury may have cost us a state football title and a state basketball title that year.
Very
that's how good he
unsung
was.
hero. He was great in both sports, and I think not a lot of people recognize that or realize that, but he was a difference maker. Tell us about your background, where you grew up, what you played in high school, where you went to college, things like that.
I grew up in Flandreau. My dad is the superintendent, or was for a long time. He's now retired from Flandreau and is doing kind of a part-time superintendent in Huron. So we grew up in Flandreau. My dad was our basketball coach. I grew up on the bench at every practice, from the time I was probably 4 or 5 up till it was time for me to just start playing in high school. I think I was there, and that's really where the love of the game came, was through my dad, my family, a lot of coaches in my family. My Uncle Rod's a superintendent and principal and a million things at Woonsocket, and he coached basketball for a long time. My Uncle Ron was at Armour. He won a bunch of state titles coaching girls in the early 80s.
Yep.
And lots of South Dakota fans would remember that.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
He transitioned into coaching the boys, so he was Burnell Glanzer's assistant coach for a long, long time. My grandpa Dale was a coach and a school administrator, and so all of that's kind of the background. Growing up, I played everything, did it all. But basketball is always my favorite sport, and I wasn't big enough to play college basketball. We really love baseball in our family, football and all that too. Still play amateur baseball. That's always been a big part of our family.
Did you get out there this year?
Oh yeah.
You did. You towed the rubber
I
this year.
yes, I'm just a pitcher nowadays. I don't dare step in the batter's box or do anything that involves any too much athleticism.
How did you throw?
It was a pretty decent season. I'm getting up there. But yeah, it was a good season. We have a good baseball team. We have a lot of fun baseball guys that, we got Grant Heeb, who's USF's baseball coach on our team. We got Tim Huber, who's Augustana's baseball
Sure.
coach on our team. We got a really competitive
You got
team.
a bunch of ringers.
And we're getting a little older. We are. The young guys still do it. So
Speaking of your dad, he comes to pretty much every home game, doesn't he?
and he's at quite a bit now that he's not in Flandreau anymore, where he was also the athletic director. He'll have a lot more time, I would imagine. He'll be at the majority of our games. All his grandkids are a little young still that haven't quite got their own seasons yet. So my dad comes to a lot, and my grandparents come to a lot. I'm fortunate to still have my grandpa Dale and my grandma Shirley are still alive, and my grandpa Ken on my mom's side, and they come to quite a bit. We got the Webbers are notoriously a very fanatic group, and we like
Faithful
to go
group.
to sporting events, and I
That's
like
great.
to go to our cousins and nephews and nieces and events, and we're very strong background. My wife Whitney and our two kids Mac and Elle they're at pretty much every single game, home or away, as long as it's in driving distance, and that's really kind of why I keep doing it. A lot of coaches, especially ones my age, they're not doing it as much anymore, and that is a real bummer to
It
me.
is.
The coaches go out, and a lot of it is because of the family and the things, and I completely understand the commitment that coaching, especially being a head coach of a basketball or football or volleyball program takes. But I'm just really fortunate that my wife and kids support it and want to be that's what they want me to be doing, and that makes a big difference.
It
Makes it a
does.
lot easier for all the time that you spend away and doing that, and awfully grateful.
Thank you, Whitney, and kiddos. But Coach Fechner is the same way. I think his family gets involved, makes it fun for the players, but it also, because it is a big sacrifice for your coach. We'll get into that a little bit later, how much you do work during the season. You are a middle school teacher, and tell us about what you teach.
So I teach. I was a longtime English teacher, middle school English, which is, one of that and math are pretty. It's hard to compare teaching a middle school math or teaching a middle school ELA class. That's just a lot of time and commitment. And a couple years ago, I was fortunate to transition into teaching career exploration, 7th grade career exploration. I also teach a sports media class, which if we can figure out a way to use some of this stuff, would be tremendous. Actually, today we had the Sioux Falls Stampede came to my classroom for the sports media, and we were able to interview some of their players and some of their front office people. So that's a fun thing.
Rich Rosti?
Jim Olander was our.
Jimmy O, sure.
He's the president and also the broadcaster.
Yeah, he does a great
for
job.
the Stampede, and we had 3 young guys in there talking, and I mean that was a tremendous. They did such a good job.
That's
My
awesome.
students did a really good job too of asking questions, and we had a couple off the wall ones that but they were well prepared and did a good job. I was really proud of them. for that.
Good. That would be a fun. You kind of get to make up that class too as you go.
So that's a nice thing. So career exploration is one of those classes. That's what I spend the majority of my time, and it's essentially let's explore careers and the different career clusters that are out there, and we kind of do. We introduce them and we look at stuff, and then we try to do projects that allow them to immerse themselves in whatever the job is. So recently we were we're working in finance. So we talked about a bunch of different things, and then we did a family budget, and they were given a scenario where they had X job that made X amount of money, and they had X amount of family members, and every kid, some got a good draw and some got a bad draw, and they had to figure out a monthly budget and stuff like that. So that's kind of how my class works. And again, it's not really like a curriculum out of a book. It's a lot of the things that I've gotten to create and have fun with, and I really enjoy it. It's
Cool.
I would say is one of the better things to be able to teach
Yeah.
in our district.
So you're the athletic director in Cologne. We'll go back about 7 years. You're also the basketball coach, and you're teaching in Cologne. The Sioux Falls job, the T area job comes up. What did you know about T, for one? 2, did you know they were going to be Double A? And then 3, did you think you would have a chance getting this job?
So yeah, at the time I'm doing a lot of things in Cologne. I was kind of a dean of students. I was an AD. I was coaching baseball. We had a lot of success coaching baseball out there. I had great, tremendous athletes in Cologne the time I was there. Basketball, won a couple football state titles, and I really enjoyed that community and being a part of that community. I was still, for the most part, single then, which I think had a big influence on wanting to be there for the 5 years that I was. But we really had a great staff in there. A lot of people I learned a lot from, and a generation or two above me. And I have a lot of respect for those people. And when I was in that role, my now wife Whitney comes into play around this time, and so we're trying to make a decision. Where do we want to be together? She was at the time teaching in Holy Spirit O'Gorman's Elementary. She really liked the T community. I was going to go an admin route, but I really still wanted to coach and have that. And that T job opened up, and I applied. It actually had opened up earlier, in the school year, and I wasn't ready to apply, or that wasn't really on my radar. It was still February or so. And then it popped up again, like right after our basketball season got over at Cologne. And so Whitney and I talked about applying, and we did. And I have nothing but they gave me the job. And it's been exactly what I've wanted. I've wanted to keep the coaching going along, and are able to live here and have our little family start, and it's been tremendous.
And did you think you would get it when you first applied? Did you think you were a strong candidate or no?
That's a great question. You come at the time I'm coaching in one of the smaller schools in the state.
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends around, and I had some really good recommendations and things, and Dr. Lowry and her family is one that my family has known really well, and Coach DeBoer at the time's our AD. So when I went into the interview, I have no idea. The fact that it reopened probably gave me a little more confidence that it was something, and I still wasn't even 100% sure that's what I wanted to do, but I wanted to mark everything, and we had a good interview, and fortunately Dr. Lowry and Coach DeBoer gave me a phone call pretty shortly after, and then when Coach DeBoer called, then I knew that was. I'm glad that's where my place became.
Well, I've never told you this. I've got you on my top 3 of all-time T coaches of any sport, and I won't tell you the number, but you're doing a great job. I think when you came in, not a lot of people knew you. We were kind of questioning who is this guy, but it didn't take long until we figured out that we had a good one. So. Glad you're here.
And that's probably high. That's too generous on there. The thing about our program that I like, we've had some changes in our assistant coaches. It's been difficult to find coaches. When our teaching jobs open up, it always, they open up early and they get filled early. When our basketball coaches' jobs open up, it's the spring. And it's been difficult to find that continuity inside, because it's the best thing for an assistant coach is to be a teacher, and to be a
That's
coach.
What we're looking for.
It helps a lot, and I've had to ask some favors from some of my friends, help and coach, and ones that are not teachers. So it's been hard to keep that continuity, but I'll tell you, Coach Preheim, the first few years I was here, along with Coach Hurley, they have been very instrumental, and Coach Preheim still is. I'll still ask him for advice all the time. And since then, when Coach Hurley moved on, Coach Robinson has stepped in, and he's really been a integral part to what we do. He's the one I'm in the middle school, he's the one in the high school, and it's really key, just all the stuff that he does. And this year we've added a couple young student teacher types too, Sam Skolton and Garrett Johnson, and I'm really excited about what they can do. And again, that's, they're student teachers. That's likely at least one of them is going to move on. Coach Skolton is still playing college football at Augustana, and he has another year of eligibility. So we may have some turnover again. So that's really that rock of having Robinson there and having some of these other ones like Coach Preheim and the help that Coach Clayberg and those guys can give really mean a lot. But it comes down to the difference in our program and a lot of others. And we haven't quite had the postseason success that I had hoped that we'd have. There's a number of reasons why, but we just got to keep getting better and keep striving towards it. But the success that our program's allowed and the freedom that I've been allowed comes from our players and our parents. You go to some of these schools, and I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of guys that I got into coaching with at the same time that just aren't doing it anymore. And the amount of young coaches, we just don't see them stick it out anymore. And oftentimes that's because of a time commitment, but mostly it's because of parents and pressure. And I don't face any of that here. And that's really why we have enjoyed being here, my wife and I, and to coach, and why our program can go is that I've gotten full community support and full parent support. And coming from a long line of coaches, you date back, I don't know when my grandpa started, probably 65 years ago, and there's been Weber's coaching in South Dakota for that long, and I understand how rare it is to find the support that we have from our parents.
That's great.
And as long as that continues, I'll keep doing my best, and hopefully we can find that postseason success, and I can be here forever.
I hope so. I know I've talked to some of your players, and overwhelmingly they enjoy. I haven't heard that they don't like playing for you, but you have a lot of support by your ex-players as well. It's great to hear that about the parents. During the season, you put in a crazy amount of hours. Tell me what your schedule is like during the basketball season.
Well, that's the thing that is, it's hard to retain coaches and do it, and the time gets more and more every single season. And there's not a complaint. You're not going to hear me complain about it.
Nope, you never complain.
The school day is very important. Teaching career exploration has helped some of that. When you teach English, you got a lot more essays to grade and things like that. That transition has helped a lot in terms of that extra teaching time outside of school. My teaching job is still the most important part of what I do, and I take a lot of pride in what my class does. In terms of the basketball, I mean, the season just doesn't ever seem to stop, and I want it that way. In the season, I would say, to start the year is a little different because you have morning practices, you have afternoon practices, you're grinding all the other stuff, that's non-basketball related, but basketball organization related. But in the season, the thing I probably dislike the most about coaching basketball compared to maybe coaching football or some of these other sports is you almost play every Saturday. Every week's a 6-day week. And it didn't always used to be that way. I grew up in a time where you played Tuesdays and Fridays. The girls would play Tuesdays and Thursdays, or maybe you played Thursdays and Fridays. You'd have one of those would be a doubleheader and things like that. But now with classics and the travel, I mean, it only makes sense to have Saturday games now. And we play almost every Saturday. So that Saturday, 6-day weeks is a lot on the boys, more so than it is the coaches. And those are a lot of hours and then Sundays, I'll go to church with my wife at 9 and kids, and at 10 o'clock I'll drop them off and I'll come right back to the school, and that's kind of when I get prepped for the next week, getting our schedules and all that, and trying to find time to watch film and do all that. But I'm from the mindset that when I go home, whenever I get to my house, I'm at my house, and I'm a dad, and I'm a husband.
That's great.
And I learned from my dad, who didn't. He had a lot more on his plate, being a superintendent at the time, and AD and stuff. But when he was coaching us growing up, we never talked ball at home unless I brought it up or my brother brought it up, and it was that's just time to be a dad and to do that. And that's kind of what I want to strive towards. Is when I go home, I can just be a dad, and so I'm not. Some coaches are watching film at 9 p.m. because that's the only time they can fit it in, I try to avoid that. And so some of that comes on Sundays, and we just sometimes got to find kids they just got to come to practice so they can see their dad, or they got to come with me to the school and make a mess in my classroom, and my son will get something wrong. He'll be markering on the wrong spot, and that's just part of it. It's a lot of time, certainly, but it's worth it, and I hope that it'll continue to be that way as my kids get older.
Yeah, I think so. Last year, your first year in AA, as a basketball team, you preached constantly toughness. You have to be tougher. Is that still the case now that we're going into season 2? Are they getting that? Are you shifting to something else now, or how's that looking?
I would say that's my number one, the thing I care about the most out of my players, and what we need to find is not just the physical toughness. I mean, the game is physical. You watch these games, and you set it in a screen, or you're taking a charge, or just how you're even driving to the rim. It's more physical than it's ever been.
Yep.
But it's more the mental toughness. You're dealing with teenage boys, and they are allowed to be teenage boys in terms of where they're at emotionally and things like that. And the season's long, and it's dark outside, and it's cold, and it's the day in and day out process of all of that. You have ups and downs. We've had a really good Monday and Tuesday practice this week, and today's practice was terrible. And that's just the ups and downs and the fluidity of it. And you're never going to last, and you're never going to make it without the mental toughness that it takes. There's a lot of pressure on the boys. Like, there's a lot of pressure coming from outside sources, a lot of pressure mostly coming from themselves. They want to do well. They want to succeed. They want to make state tournaments and compete for state championships. There's pressure coming from the coaches, the expectations, and all of the things that go into being a success on the court. And you're not going to make it if you're not mentally tough. You got to be able to take that stresses, and you got to be able to do it, let alone just your play differs, and officiating, or just all of it is it's a lot on them. And if you're going to win in them fourth quarters of those postseason games and stuff like that, you got to be tough. And if you're going to win a January game, you got to be tough. And so just really stressing that, and understanding that for the boys, that you got to be able to get coached hard because the expectations are high. Okay, but you also have to be able to coach yourself and show up day in and day out. And that goes from number 1 on our depth chart to number 50 on our depth chart. You got to show up, and you got to be willing to take on the sacrifices that a season presents itself.
I love that as a great life lesson that you're also teaching for that. But you mentioned to me before the show that something along the lines of, you need those, you just mentioned 1 through 15, you need those 10 through 15 or those 5 through 10 to show up and be great in practice against your top 5. How important is that for those guys that don't get to play a lot, that don't get a lot of recognition, to be great practice players?
And that's, some can and some can't. Some can do it, and some don't last, and those 50 that we have out for basketball, so far those 50 have shown that they can show up, and they can compete, and they can go. Our talent levels are different than some of these other big schools, the ones that are cutting and things like that. We have, I don't know, a third, a fourth of what some of these schools have in terms of enrollment. So our talent levels are just a little different right now. That does not mean that we can't be competitive, and that does not mean that we can't find a role inside our team, even if we are number 35 on that list, that we can't help push and be a part of a program. And the kids that can understand that they are part of something bigger than them, they're going to find a lot of success in our program, and that's going to carry over through life. I'll tell you, the number 1 guy I've had since here, and I've had a lot of these guys, and I have a handful of seniors right now, but I'll tell you, the number 1 guy that I think of that all the time, he did not get to play as much as he probably could have. He was playing on great teams, and busted his tail every day, and always had a positive attitude, and put everybody at first, was Eddie Unruh, who was part of that 2022-ish grade. Kale and Jeff and them. And that kid, every time I see him, and he's doing great things right now, I'll always remember just how much he put into a program, and did he get as much out of that program in terms of basketball? Probably not as much as he had earned, but I think what he got out of that program, and I guarantee you Eddie would say it, is the things that are going to make him a success after. And it's not basketball the only thing that does it. It comes from parents and it comes from other outside influences. But we want in our program for these kids to go through the stuff that it takes, those high expectations, and hopefully it will spit them out tougher.
Great. Jack, Eddie Unruh, after his brother Jack got engaged, I called him the most eligible bachelor in T because, yeah, what a great kid.
And he's, I think he may have a girlfriend. I hope Eddie, if you're watching, I hope you don't quote me on that.
She's a lucky gal. So you're roughly 8 days in. You play. You have another practice for your first game. What have you seen so far? What are the thoughts?
We've had some ups and downs. I thought so typically on a season, your first couple days of practice, those 2 days, they're usually really good, the first 2. And then the middle of the first week is usually not good. Tired legs and all that and whatever. And then usually you get to the scrimmage by the time on Saturday, we're good again. We're back to it. We're excited to go up and down. For the first time probably in my coaching career, we did the inverse. First couple days, I wasn't super impressed with anything. Middle of last week when we started, less of me talking and explaining and more of them playing, we really showed, I think, a higher level than we started last year, at least, which a lot of these guys are the same. Our scrimmage on Saturday wasn't the best. It wasn't, knock it out of the world. We saw some good things in there, but some not so great things. And then we get back to the start of this week, and I thought we've really practiced well. Today's was lesser. A lot of that's because I probably talked too much today and got them less. So tomorrow we'll reshape that up. But I feel like we're further along at this point than we were last year. But we don't want to get to last year's level. And I was really impressed with our team last year. I thought we were probably a top 5 or 6 team in the state last year, in Class AA, that is. And this year I think we can get higher, but it takes some growth. We're going to start 2 sophomores. We're going to start 2 juniors. We're going to start a senior. We're still a young team, but we're not an inexperienced team. So we have to grow quicker than we probably did last year. And I like where we're at now, but, we're not satisfied. We'll learn a lot on Friday night.
Yeah. Speaking of your players, I'm going to mention the players, and you just kind of give me a brief, summary of these guys. You start off first with Griffin Wiebenga, just a junior. He's got the Northern State offer, at least last I heard. So I went to summer games. I saw Coach Wilbur there. Every time you guys played, Coach Wilbur was there. He's keeping an eye on Griffin. What does Griff bring to the team?
Well, Griff was an all-stater last year. He's going to be a lot better this year. Good. He is a good player last year. He's going to be a lot better this year. And he knows it. And I think everybody's going to find out real quick that he's going to be pretty tough. He's going to be one of the guys here in our program, in our school history, that's going to be a top guy. Last year he dealt with his growth plates were still open. He dealt with some knee stuff. He didn't have the explosiveness that I think he's starting to develop. He still had a little baby fat on him and things like that. He looks a lot better. I think he's feeling a lot better. And I think he's just kind of starting to take on this role of how important it is that he be a leader, even as a junior, because we're only going to go so far as those top guys take us. That's how basketball works.
Yep.
Your best player's got to be great. And what I've seen in these first week and a half of practice is that he's gonna take on more of that. I need to be the best guy in the gym mentality. And it's up to us as coaches to keep him firing that way and not let him go back. But he's a great basketball player, and we're very fortunate to have him.
One of your handful of seniors, Gavin Schad.
Shad, he's only a junior, so that's some good news to break to you.
That is great news.
Gavin and Griff both started as sophomores last year. And Gavin was our best basketball player last month, the last season, I thought. He can score. He can do it all.
Yeah.
And I told you about Griff's going to be one of those top guys. Gavin's right there with him. Those two, I don't have a one or a two. My top guy, my second guy. Those are 1A and 1B, and we hopefully are going to get to 1C, 1D, 1E here. Gav's got the ability to do a lot of things. He's our toughest guy in terms he doesn't seem like he is. He can rebound really well for his size. He will defend hard, and he's got a motor that doesn't quit.
That's true.
And I think we can kind of tailor our offense to kind of build off of those two a lot here without them just having to be do-it-all guys, because we have some more depth than a lot of these teams do. But those two guys they're up there in the pairs, duos
Great.
in AA. But they got to play up. They got to keep building our way, because we're gonna go as far as those two can kind of. If they don't elevate their game from last year, we won't elevate as a team.
Okay. AJ gave me the 5-minute mark about 3 minutes ago. So one of your, I know he's a senior, Mr. Williamson. You've had a Williamson, but Braden Williamson. This is kind of a quiet guy, lead by example, doesn't say much, but he plays hard too.
Well, we got a 2-minute warning, so I'm just going to fly him.
Okay.
All right. And not to cut off, Willie has been a revelation here. Talk about energy, all energy. We kind of think we have a better role for him this season than we did last season. I expect him to really shock some people on Friday that saw him last year compared to this year.
Good.
Another big guy, Mitch Grant, started last year as a freshman, best defender around for sure, and he's going to take
3-pointers.
He's going to take a big leap offensively. And Mitch, Gavin, and Griff together as our starting backcourt, they better be right in that top 2 or 3 groups in AA, or we're not going nowhere.
Good size, 2'6", 6'3",
yeah, and he's
and
still
6 foot.
growing, and he's still only a sophomore. There's going to be some up. You can't expect him to step out on the court and have a perfect all around game every night, but he's going to do some things athletically out there that you're just not seeing.
This next guy is wearing his brother's number. I talked to him last year about possibly wearing it this year. He's wearing it number 3 for you guys. Big Blake Lundeen, all 6'8" of him.
Yeah, so Blake will probably start at the center on Friday. He's dealing with a back right now, so we got to take care of that. Hopefully that will work its way out and not be a lingering issue. Blake's got the ability to stretch the floor. He's got the ability to protect the rim. That's the modern day 5. And that's what he is, prototypical. Still going to have, we're going to have growing pains as a sophomore, just like Mitch. It's a lot to ask to bang with the 18-year-olds of, that Lincoln has or Roosevelt has. But the sky's the limit for him too. And we're going to grow along with him. And hopefully, by February, March, he's playing like an upperclassman.
Yeah. You've got Lowry on the bench, Randall, Bonenberger. Tell me really quickly about Brenner Conrad. He's not playing this year, but you call him Coach Conrad now.
Yeah, so obviously, nothing probably in my 13 years of doing this has hurt more than 2 straight seasons for Brenner. And not just for our basketball team, not just for our community. It sucks for Brenner. The kid has earned every opportunity that's going to come, and he is going to have a great college football career.
Augustana.
I am certain of that. But he isn't able to play. So we've transitioned him into a full-on coach. He's going to have a role on the bench. He has a role at practice. I try to get him more involved. Sometimes I do a little bit of the stuff that he should probably be doing because I'm the head coach. And he's 18. But that dude has not missed one basketball workout, practice, nothing. Hasn't gotten to play in a basketball game since he is a sophomore, and he has been there more than anybody. And that just is a tell you how successful Brenner Conrad is going to be off whenever he's done, hopefully playing in the NFL. That dude, tremendous. He can do no wrong by me. He is a great leader for our youth, and I hope people, when they see him, thank him for what he brings to our program.
Surely, yeah, absolutely. Bench, Lowry, you've got a young Randall in there, Bonenberger, another senior, Lowry, a senior.
Sieber, and so
Sieber.
we'll see where we got on Friday. Sieber will definitely get a lot of minutes playing that 5 and 4. Great. He can just kind of do it all, kind of a jack of all trades, doesn't need the ball a ton, can knock down shots if he needs to, is a defender, talker, great team guy. Bonenberger's looked really good. Dashel's looked really good. Dashel's dealing with the foot. And hopefully, we're not sure if he's going to be able to make it through the whole season before it erupts on him, hopefully. And those two bring a lot of understanding a role, senior leadership. All they care about is winning basketball games, which is all I care about when the ball gets tipped up, and we need that. Trey Severn's another senior, same type of thing. Braden Smith, same like that. Couple of big bodies. Lucas Randall, Gavin Glover, some of these younger guys. They got to earn their way. It's a learning experience. It's very hard. The sophomore year is a really hard one, and the hopes of where you're going to be and how it shakes out, every game is different. Could be 10 minutes, could be 2 minutes, could be 0 minutes, could be 8 minutes. It all changes. Yep. And understanding, young guys have to understand that they just got to stay ready and get there. When their opportunity comes, they got to capitalize. And if they don't, they got to capitalize the next day in practice and keep earning that trust. And I really like our young group. I really do. It's a work in progress. We're, like I said earlier, we might be a little disadvantaged in that middle group compared to those big schools, depth-wise. But I really like what our group will shape out to be.
Friday night, doubleheader. Come out and support this guy and his T-Area Titans against the Huron Tigers. Thanks for the time, Coach, coming over right after practice. Get home and be a dad. And we'll talk to you on Friday for season opener in T.
We're looking forward to it. Thanks, Shad.
Yes. Now we're going to bring in Les Schroeder in his Titan Pride sweatshirt. He's got a pink T-shirt underneath as him and Weber share a nice hug there. And we won't tease you about the T-shirt underneath. Where it's a pink.
It's volleyball. It's the volleyball.
Oh, okay. What do you think of Coach Weber as you replace him? He's a guy that's you've got some plaques hanging around your house from him.
Well, he's one of probably 3 guys that are pretty high on my coaching list, to be honest. He's a great guy, always has my back, everything. So, yes, I think pretty highly of him and obviously Coach Colesrud. Those are the 2 high probably on my list.
He thinks a lot of you, too. Hey, we wanted to mention really quick, we thank the T Storm Chasers and AJ Town for producing this podcast, putting it together. They have 182 subscribers on Facebook, 40 million views on Facebook last month alone. And just wanted you to know, every dollar that you would contribute to them, they're a nonprofit, that counts. Every like on Facebook, every comment. And if you want to have some advertising with them, just reach out to them. That's a lot of views, and they're really ramping up as this podcast. They're really ramping up what they do. They have a two time a day weather update, which right now is pretty important because we're in a weather time right now. But we thank the T Storm Chasers. I just learned from them they had a 74-mile-an-hour wind yesterday, or when was that wind? Sunday in Aberdeen.
That was probably last night. Last night. Yes.
When all my garbage cans blew over. And
you didn't hear the wind at your house, or what? I mean, come on now.
We had 71 miles here.
71 in T.
Wow.
And know this, wind is silent, actually. Wind is silent.
All
what
right.
you hear is wind bouncing off of things, okay?
All right, fine.
Other than that, wind is silent.
All right.
Hey, you've got this week's poll question.
Oh, yeah, I do. We're
Who
going.
won High V or Fairway? We put it on T Connect. It kind of blew up. We got close to 400 responses.
Well, they didn't take my vote. That's why it lost. High V got 177 votes. Fairway only got 146 votes.
Yeah, Fairway was leading for a while.
Well,
So-
I guess I didn't check I should have checked it. I should have double clicked on Fairway and stuff.
To be
But-
fair, like
yeah.
a lot of people said on there, it's great to have both. I went to both yesterday.
know.
It's great to have the variety. So
No, I know. I just
they
like
both
my Fairway.
win in our books. Clayton Sattler.
Yeah.
I thought he was moving on. There was some speculation. He is not chosen yet, so still in the portal. Chase DeBoer has committed to Jed Stugart's team,
Oh, and US
Lindenwood.
Oh,
So
Linden.
they're
Okay,
Division
yes.
One, just like SDSU.
Yep,
They're
yep.
division or offensive coordinator. Jed Stewart used to be at USF. Dusty Havorka played at USF.
Yes, for a
We
back
just
in
talked about
Whoa.
Brenner Conrad. He's going to play tight end for Augustana
Okay.
football, which is really
a good-
exciting.
that's a
Getting to
good
play
spot
for
for him.
Coach OJ
Yeah.
in that beautiful stadium.
Yeah, it is.
So we've got that. You've got some Jackson Smythe
Jackson
news.
Smythe made second team all GPAC. Led Northwestern in tackles this year.
Yep, 72
So
tackles.
congratulations to Jackson Smythe. That's awesome.
Congratulations. Had a sack on the year, too.
Right.
Just a sophomore.
Well, his-
I remember the Augustana SID watching him and going fast guy, tackle by fast guy.
Well, speaking of him, his brother,
Yep.
his brother is now playing on the bench right now for the USF Cougars.
Playing for the Cougars, got in again the other night. They lost in double overtime, 106 to 108 to Augustana.
Yes.
Game before that, I think he got in. He's played in a couple of their
Yep,
games. Just a true freshman.
Oh, he's awesome. Yeah.
But they've got a young team, USF does, and they've got some good-looking pieces there.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to one of those games, and I told them I'll be back to watch. Some wrestling news. So wrestling, Titans picked up a sweep against Chamberlain and Mitchell last Friday to start the season. The very next day, they have to go to Watertown.
Mm-hmm.
Losses to Canby just by 4. They lost to O'Gorman by 2. They lost to Watertown and Aberdeen Central, but they did get wins over Mitchell again. Roosevelt, 80-0.
Wow.
So they could be they're actually 8 points away from being 6-2. They're 4-4 now.
Okay.
Piper Woodring. I like to go on Facebook to I forget what it's called, but they have Dakota Grappler, I believe
Okay.
it's called. They have him at number 4 in their Elite 8.
Oh, wow.
He's ranked first at 138. Chase DeBoer is second
Mm-hmm.
in heavyweight wrestling, giving up about 50 pounds every night. J.J. Wilgers, 6th in 175. Trevin Otis, 7th in 150. This is their rankings. K-Dimers, 9th in 120. Braylon Hoyer, he was this week's varsity wrestler of the week. He is 9th in 106. Emery Volker for girls is 9th at 125. 8th grader Allie Stevenson was the girls wrestler of the week. She picked up her varsity win.
She's my neighbor. I love that.
Is that right?
That's just my neighbor.
Oakland Raiders fan.
Yep, Oakland Raiders. She's a great kid.
Yes, she is. A lot
Love
of
that
fun.
kid. Yep.
Thiek Lual, JV Beast. He went 6-1 last weekend. He also had to get up and wrestle at the varsity level for a little bit. He wrestled 4 times last Friday, and he lost the last match. He went 3-1 on the night. He was
He's
down
probably
before
tired.
then. He was exhausted.
He
at
was
the
tired,
end.
yeah.
And Mom says he's enjoying wrestling, and he's just taking it for what it's worth. But he was a lot of fun to watch. Drake Mitchell got the Titan Tough Award this week. Chase DeBoer, this is crazy. School record pin.
I saw that.
6 seconds.
I watched your call. That was crazy.
And breaks Carson Lohr's record of 7 seconds, but 6-second pin.
Wow, that was crazy.
That would be if me and you wrestled. I think I could get you down that quickly.
You probably can. Yeah, you probably can. That's right.
And then they are heading to Rapid City this weekend.
Oh,
That's where it
okay.
gets real. So it's going to be a fun, long weekend for them.
Yep.
But they've got some great teams out there. They're going to get some exposure and wrestle some good wrestlers. So wrestling season, excited that's here too.
Yes.
Coach John Neeson joined us last week. And that was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun calling the match.
'Cause I was
Girls
glad-
basketball season is
Well,
here
you're right.
too.
I was glad you mentioned Allie because I was going to mention Allie too at the end, but you
Yep.
jumped. But yes, speaking of Coach Weber, now we had a basketball game on Monday down in Sioux City.
Yep.
You had a great seat at that, by the way. I
Yes.
saw that. The girls picked up a 56-25 win over Sioux City North Stars.
Yep.
And here's a quote from Coach Fechner. It says, "Good to see the girls go live. Not as explosive as he would have hoped to be in the game, but lots of bright spots. The girls responded well after halftime and put a huge emphasis on defense adjustments, and we made and showed great energy. Good start to the season, but a huge early season matchup on Friday will set the tone for the season. And
Yeah.
I'm really excited for that matchup against the Huron Tigers.
Against a better Tigers team, I would say
It is a better Tigers team
the
than
Lady
last year.
Titans are going to really need to address rebounding
Yes.
more. They're really going to have to value every possession more.
Well, and
Those are my 2 takeaways. They need to be better rebounding, and they don't have great size, so they're going to have to figure it out, and they're going to have to cut down on the turnovers
the
because they're going to see a
turnovers,
lot
yes.
tougher defense than they have. But they did force 26 turnovers.
they did.
They came out. like he said, second half, you could tell they drew some things up.
Yes.
Got 9 points out of Ellie Clayburgh in the
Yep.
third quarter. Got 9 points for the game by Natalie Gass. She didn't play at all last year.
Nope.
Was hurt all year, and so or hurt early in the year. So to see her come out and get 9 points, you got 5 early points from Van Laken, who was on varsity but rarely played last year. So you lost 3 seniors, but the girls you're getting in to replace those 3 seniors, as well as bringing back Bindi and Clayburgh and Babb. And,
I was going to say two silent leaders that really don't get the pub that they need is J.C. Babb brings the ball up, does not turn the ball over, and gets to the basket when they need a basket. And Grace B. Lost plays solid defense, and
really impressed us
and
last
really
year.
and really gets after it defense.
Lindgren with 6 steals.
Yes.
I talked to her after the game. She said she probably should have shot more. You know, it was a game where we had running clock start of the fourth quarter, so probably didn't need her to shoot more. The steals were huge. But the thing I noticed with him, I was supposed to ride the bus, and I was late, so I told Coach Fechner to go. I'll drive by myself. We watched a terrible rollover on the way there, so I'm glad all the Titans fans got back and got back home safe. But I didn't ride the bus, but I just noticed they just have a fun atmosphere there, and they all seem to get along together. That's a big part of the battle right there.
There you go.
So.
So I'm excited for Friday night. I really am.
Friday night, it's going to be a great night. Hopefully, everybody comes out and supports the home
Yes,
team.
come out.
Honestly, you know, as we move to this AA, I think one of the things that we can really use to our advantage is we are the smallest. We're the 20th smallest AA school. And a lot of these schools you go to, and I've talked to their coaches, O'Gorman, Jefferson, Harrisburg, Roosevelt, they don't get a lot of fan support. And the coaches tell me that's because the only people that come watch them
Our parents.
are parents
Yes.
and friends. And one of the coaches told me that he tells his players to go make friends with everybody. So T can do it a little different. We can come out and he goes, you guys support because it's T. And I would love to see that keep going as we continue to grow. And now we're in AA, that we can get great home support and really help these kids because it does make a big difference. And as much as we want you to watch us on the broadcast, we want
it's
you
all
to
about
be
the kids.
at the home
Yes,
games,
we want this,
rooting those on. We want to see a
Yes.
strong student section,
After
too.
you get done with your next thing, I do have junior high basketball.
Okay.
Too.
Yeah, we wanted to talk. I talked with Jason Bennett, a 4-hour school board meeting recently, and we're going to not cover all that tonight. I just wanted to cover 2 things. 2 retirements, because they're pretty big deals. The first one, Wayne Larson is retiring. Wayne Larson, he's inducted to the Hall of Fame last year. He served as a business manager. He served on the school board. Wayne Larson has been with this district before it was a district.
Yes.
Most recently taking on the addition to the school. Now he will be leaving in June. But they're probably, if you want to talk maybe Conrad Pick, him and Wayne Larson, there's probably not anybody else that has given more time, more energy, more hours, more blood, sweat, and tears to a T area school district
Are those 2?
than those 2. So congratulations, Wayne Larson. The other one, Scott Fry, will be stepping down, staying on as teacher, retiring as football coach. He was 26-16 in his 4 years here, 2-4 in the playoffs. This is a guy who'd been coaching football over 30 years, over 15 in T, and President Bennett just tells me that, you know, all of our success, all of our state titles, he played an instrumental part in that. And
He was
we're
on
really gonna
Clayburgh's
miss him.
staff that
Yep.
got a state championship.
Was on Roosevelt's staff.
Was on
O'Gorman's.
Roosevelt's staff with Coach DeBoer before he came to T, and so yes, I mean he had all the accolades and the football knowledge and did our program really well.
And I wanted to just personally thank
Yes.
him for letting me come out to practice and just
Yes.
all the things I ask of him was just like Coach Weber, never hesitant, just always helps me out, and that's so appreciated. So President Bennett just congratulates both of these men on their retirements and just thanks them for all of their years of service to the T area school district.
So middle school basketball. Unfortunately, the 7th graders went 1-4, lost to Harrisburg North last night. They have 3 games left against O'Gorman, Brandon Valley, and I think another Harrisburg team, but I'm not.
East or South, probably?
Actually, well, either that or Ben Rifle. I think Ben Rifle is.
Okay.
And then I did get a
Thought
nice.
you'd be more prepared. That's okay.
Well, you're right. I'm sorry. I know. I'm getting prepared for Friday night. So,
Okay.
but anyway, and then I got a nice text from my good buddy and your good buddy, Mr. Brew. They played on Monday night. They played Ben Rifle, and then the A team lost by 3. But his team, the B team, won by 5. So sorry, Coach Deck. But the A team is 1-3. The B team is 5-0. So he's on a roll.
Yeah.
They are not making up. The jamboree got canceled because of the nice, lovely
And they're
weather.
Not making it up.
They are not making the jamboree up.
Oh.
And then two kids that he wants to shout out this time. None that but the Allie Babb. The JC Babb, her younger sister. Okay. Allie Babb and McKinley Mayer have played well this week for us. Babb is an aggressive on-ball defender and makes life tough for opposing ball handlers. She's very coachable. She's a very coachable athlete and always gives her best effort, just like her older sister and her older brother. But anyway, McKinley is a workhorse for our Titan team. She has a double-double. She had a double-double in the B game versus Ben Rifle. She's a physical post and very skilled around the rim. She's a great kid, and we're lucky to have her.
Well, that's great, and thanks to Coach Decker for coaching. I know he missed his daughter's game, so there we go. Wrap
That's
it up
right.
with more with less. Thanks to Drew Weber coming on. Best of luck to him and to Coach Fechner on Friday night. Thanks for the Storm Chasers for putting this podcast on, producing it. Les Schroeder.
Thank
We'll
you.
see you next week. We'll see you Friday for
I want to see you
basketball.
Friday.